Mayor Tiffany Henyard was a no-show for this special meeting called by village trustees, but she was still the target of scathing public comment.
I'm not going to stop until she's behind bars.
And at some point, she is going to have to answer to some of this stuff.
Tensions have recently increased as Tiffany pressed ahead with a meeting that the village trustees had scheduled, sparking yet another confrontation between her and the board. However, the questions that have been bothering people for months remain unanswered. Just how far was Tiffany willing to exploit her position and misappropriate funds? Let's dive into the whirlwind surrounding Tiffany and her use of taxpayer dollars and buckle up. The allegations against her are nothing short of wild. The housing crisis in our community is something Tiffany, who proudly referred to herself as Super Mayor, promised to address. She also pledged to lead the charge on new developments to create more recreational gathering spaces and secure funds from the American Rescue Plan for seniors and veterans. On the surface, these goals sound commendable and indicative of a committed leader, but reality shows a troubling disconnect between her actions and her promises. A few weeks ago, Tiffany was served with a subpoena by the FBI in connection with an investigation into the village's licensing and permitting procedures. The FBI requested a number of financial records, including payroll reimbursement, travel and expense records, and Tiffany was specifically accused of refusing permits to companies that she thought were unreliable. This is just one of many accusations Tiffany has faced. Reports indicate that she has a serious spending problem, but the money coming from taxpayers, not her own. First accusations against Tiffany Lightfoot surfaced in March 2024, claiming she misappropriated taxpayer money for a series of extravagant personal expenses. Village trustees called for a third-party investigation into questionable spending related to her trips, with a focus on a Las Vegas trip with two fellow trustees. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was brought in by the village board to look into Tiffany's management of village finances. Recently, she released preliminary findings. These findings indicate that the village is grappling with substantial debt and that credit card expenditures have spiraled out of control. Beyond this, Tiffany is said to have paid $1 million for a personal protection police detail. A previous police chief who was fired by Tiffany allegedly misappropriated those monies, taking officers away from their jobs combating crime in order to secure her personal safety, according to Fox 32 Chicago.
Is there a motion to approve the gospel fest?
Motion failed.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the house fest?
Event after event denied for Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard under an ordinance designed to rein in spending.
Some residents love the events that we do here at Thornton Township. And prior to me, y'all have always had events. So I don't understand why it's a problem now that Tiffany Henyard is the supervisor.
Kiki Wyatt was paid $30,000 to sing for 30 minutes. Rapper Jay Holiday made $20,000 for a half-hour set. When you factor in staff, equipment, and other expenses, the total cost is at least $85,000.
But hold on, there's more. The cop assigned to Tiffany's support apparently put in a lot of overtime and even conducted errands, which increased the taxpayers' burden. In order to contextualize this, let's examine the figures. Fiscal year 23, one officer accumulated an astounding $887,000 in overtime, followed by an additional $122,000 in fiscal year 2024, all while earning a base salary of $55,000 in fiscal year 2023 and $73,000 in fiscal year 2024. In contrast, their standard salary was $72,000 in 2023 and $887,000 in 2024. Just these two officers brought in over six figures in overtime, more than double their base pay. Meanwhile, charges have been announced against Dolton Senior Administrator Keith Douglas Freeman by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois in connection with claims of bankruptcy fraud, including, as if things couldn't get much worse, underreporting income and filing out-of-date tax returns didn't help. An inquiry showed that Dolton was in overwhelming debt to numerous vendors. Among the A Street Paving Company owed staggering sums of $427,000, and a bank threatened to seize village vehicles, including police cars, for non-payment. Additionally, Tiffany Henyard had charged the township $177,000 worth of merchandise for her personal use and her foundation. a federal subpoena prompted the review of related documents, which revealed that the invoice for this merchandise was issued just 1 day after her foundation's registration with the state. The report also identified an additional $50,000 in overdue payments to other vendors, which was disclosed in a shocking way during a board meeting. The township also faced a $400,000 bill from a tree trimming company for work completed in 2023. In February 2024, Tiffany disclosed that the village was facing a $2 million deficit. Despite this, she was able to organize an ostensibly lavish $1 million Facebook giveaway to commemorate Black History Month. The same mayor was also involved in a contentious $200,000 payment made to a suburban construction firm without a formal contract or competitive bidding. The company has been associated with multiple corruption scandals, one of which involved the owner purportedly attempting to remove thousands of unpaid taxes on family-owned properties. Currently, the president of the company is awaiting sentencing after admitting guilt in January to bribing a Cook County assessor's official for property tax reductions. To further add to the intrigue, the president's late father was involved in a remodeling scandal. Above and beyond simple financial misappropriation of public monies, Valerie Stubbs, a former village trustee who publicly challenged the mayor, alleges she was the target of reprisal from Tiffany. She has documented incidents of wrongdoing and intimidation and claims Tiffany even instructed people to damage 2 of her tenants' cars. Valerie Stubbs claimed that Tiffany deliberately formed connections with the police department to ensure they overlooked the complaints she lodged against the mayor. Additionally, there was a troubling incident involving Tiffany's former assistant who alleged she was mistreated by a trustee on Tiffany's board. When the assistant reported this to the mayor, Tiffany had the audacity to warn her that if the matter became public, it would destroy her reputation. This incident reportedly took place during an economic development trip to Las Vegas, attended by Mayor Tiffany Henyard and several village representatives, including her former assistant, who subsequently filed a complaint with the Illinois Department of Human Rights. According to the complaint, the woman recounted attending dinner with an unnamed Dolton trustee. After the meal, she began to feel disoriented and extremely unsteady, as though the ground were shifting beneath her. She stated that she blacked out, and when she woke up the next morning, found herself in the trustee's hotel room with no recollection of how she had gotten there, accompanied by physical discomfort.
Very overwhelming. At first it was just me by myself. And a year later for me to see y'all standing with me here for thank you so much. You are a survivor. This means so much to me. But I still want everybody to know I'm standing with you too. If you're a survivor with me, please come stand with me.
She also mentioned that upon returning to Dolton, officer Byron Miles, who was part of Tiffany Henyard's security detail and had accompanied her on the trip to Las Vegas, told her that a trustee from the trip claimed he had unprotected intercourse with her. It's important to note that both the former assistant and the officer filed complaints providing details of a meeting that took place the following day involving the former assistant, the officer, and the mayor. During this meeting, the woman stated that she would never willingly have intercourse with the trustee. Officer Miles informed Tiffany and the woman that the trustee had called him that night in Las Vegas to boast about his activities with the former assistant. The officer's complaint indicated that the trustee boasted about the assistant potentially lacking the capacity to consent or not having provided consent at all. According to Officer Miles, he recorded parts of the conversation on his iPhone. He had asked the trustee to switch to a video call so he could assess the situation firsthand. Given his role as a law enforcement officer recently alerted to a possible crime, during the call, the trustee directed the camera toward a bed revealing a woman who was partially undressed. He then moved the camera to various private areas of her body, at times adjusting or removing her clothing to display them on the screen. Even with all the evidence, Tiffany insisted she didn't want the incident to go public, fearing it would ruin her. It is unclear whether they were threatened, but the statement from the village suggests they refused to cooperate once the investigation started, making it all seem very convenient in the end, even though the truth is that the ex-employee claimed the mayor reassured her, telling her to trust her and that she would handle it. Days later, according to the complaint, the woman was placed on unpaid medical leave, which she claims she did not request, and she was later terminated. The fact that this wasn't the only instance of unjust termination endures. Former maintenance manager Dwayne Thrash filed a lawsuit in 2023 claiming he was let go while on vacation after he refused to participate in a scheme orchestrated by Tiffany Henyard and her assistant. They allegedly planned to dismiss an attorney and replace them with a firm favored by the mayor's assistant. Additionally, Tiffany has been publicly promoting her plans for the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation since 2022. However, this initiative has come under scrutiny, especially following recent allegations of frivolous spending. In light of this, she has begun to distance herself from the charity, asserting that she does not have a foundation and denying any knowledge of the Illinois Attorney General's office banning the organization from raising funds. For example, how can she dismiss a foundation that features her name and picture? Promptly, isn't she the same person who passionately advocated for the foundation during her week-long trip to Springfield in October 2022? She even rode an electric bicycle adorned with the phrases Super Mayor and Tiffany Air Foundation. Along the way, she promoted t-shirts and sweatshirts featuring the foundation's name and her signature. And look at the man in this photo. That's Kamal Woods. Talk about a boyfriend allowance. Kamal, Tiffany's boyfriend, is one of the people served with a federal subpoena in the investigation into the dubious construction project. Kamal was accused of receiving an astounding salary of over $100,000 annually while working as private security for the local government. These are just a few of the allegations that have been made. There are a ton more. Meanwhile, Tiffany's resignation is being demanded by the residents of Dolton. When the board attempted to pass a resolution for an investigation into Tiffany's spending in response to allegations that she was misusing tax funds in her office, Tiffany countered that the accusations were personal attacks from the village board's so-called boys club, which she accused of launching a smear campaign against her. She dismissed all of the allegations as lies, but with significant funds missing and evidence of misappropriation. If Tiffany insists she is innocent, then who is at fault? Is she suggesting that she is being used as a scapegoat in a bigger scheme? There are a lot of unsolved questions in this issue.
In the absence of the township's 5 sitting trustees, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's attempt at a special meeting was more of a soliloquy.
I am out to address some things as a supervisor. There will be no comments, there will be anything. It will be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on in Thornton Township.
When can we address you?
Henyard called Wednesday's special meeting, she said, in response to a series of ordinances the village's board passed last week to manage event spending.
If you haven't been following the excitement on social media, allow me to enlighten you. It appears that Mayor Tiffany Henyard has finally come under the scrutiny of the law and is facing consequences. Tiffany appears to have used town resources to finance her lavish lifestyle, traveling the world like a Kardashian. But now that the FBI is closing in and her funds have dried up, it appears that she has reached her lowest point. According to rumors, she is selling off her belongings in order to survive and avoid total financial ruin. Tiffany has managed to run the entire township of Dolton, Illinois, into the ground in less than a year. Hello everyone, this case has become much more intriguing. You should watch the drama unfold right now because it is going to get hotter. As the mayor of Dixon, Illinois since 2021 and as the supervisor of Thornton Township in 2022, Tiffany Henyard has made waves. However, her time in the spotlight has not been uneventful. Express has recently made headlines, but sadly for all the wrong reasons. Consider financial shadiness, corruption, fraud, and a number of dubious dealings. Tiffany has been at odds with the majority of the village board of trustees for the past year, and let me tell you, it's turned into a full-blown drama fest. However, hold on to Tiffany's reputation as a total menace didn't appear out of nowhere. The controversy started in August 2019 when CBS 2 Chicago reported that Tiffany was receiving Section 8 housing subsidies for a home she owned that had serious problems like mold and water leaks. Talk about a catastrophe. By November 2019, the property's condition had gotten so bad that it was declared uninhabitable, forcing the tenant to leave. But this is where things got complicated. After the media learned of the drama that was developing, they started closely examining the property's dubious inspection history. Fast forward to October 2020, when Tiffany decided it was time to make her move and announced her candidacy for mayor. Without holding back, she launched a fierce campaign against incumbent Mayor Riley Rogers, attacking his record in a dramatic turn of events. Tiffany was accused of continuing to cash those Section 8 checks as if nothing had changed. The tenant, unwilling to stay silent, confronted her about her inaction regarding the persistent mold problem. By the time the general election rolled around in April, Tiffany had secured the Democratic nomination by eliminating Rogers in a fierce four-way primary. She had crushed the contest, earning an astounding 82% of the vote against independent candidate Ronnie Burge. Tiffany had truly left her mark. Tiffany put together her dream team to back her candidacies for village clerk and trustee. Two of her chosen trustees, Tiana Bell and Jason House, along with village clerk Allison Key, successfully took office. However, the camaraderie was short-lived. Those friendships quickly fell apart, and many of her supporters ended up joining the village board and taking legal action against her. In fact, within just 6 months of Tiffany becoming mayor, the trustees began raising concerns, accusing her of mismanaging municipal funds and operating with a troubling lack of transparency. By April 2022, tensions had reached a boiling point, prompting the village board to file a lawsuit against Tiffany alleging serious conflicts of interest. It was a disaster, but Tiffany was not one to back down easily. She retaliated by accusing some trustees of inciting unrest and escalated the situation further by locking them out of their offices and canceling board meetings. The trustees weren't going to sit this one out. They called their own meetings while she was away and formally banned Tiffany. This was only the beginning. Residents, employees, and business owners in the village began voicing concerns that Tiffany was misusing her position to target anyone who opposed her. Rumors circulated that she had allegedly used the village police to intimidate businesses that weren't supportive of her agenda, even pressuring some owners for campaign contributions. Accusations also surfaced claiming she fired several village employees for purely political reasons. The situation took a darker turn in March 2024 when NBC Chicago unveiled documents obtained through a Freedom of Information request. These files revealed that the Illinois Department of Human Rights was investigating a serious case
So it might seem
Tiffany.
like it's a now for you, but this has been a long journey for me already. And I've already put my suffering aside, I put my depression aside. I've worked on all that. I did my praying on if I should be sitting in front of you today saying my story. And I'm ready. That's why now. And I'm not just fighting for me no more. I realize that I'm fighting for every woman that's been in my position. I'm fighting for a sister that doesn't have a voice. I'm fighting for a sister that's scared. I'm fighting for a sister who doesn't have a sister. I'm fighting, not just for me.
There have been reports from the villages of Dolton and Thornton Township that Tiffany's former assistant has accused village trustee Andrew Holmes of mistreating her during a trip to Las Vegas. She also claimed that Tiffany retaliated against her for speaking out. Tiffany swiftly responded, dismissing the accusations as completely untrue and blaming the chaos on disgruntled employees causing trouble. Meanwhile, the drama surrounding her has only gotten worse, with new accusations of misusing village funds without the Board of Trustees' approval. Council meetings have become intense forums, with Tiffany and the trustees exchanging sharply. Due to Tiffany's reckless spending, which left the village $7 million in debt, City Trustee Brittany Norwood issued a red flag warning in January 2024 about the village's spending habits, warning that Dolton was in danger of going bankrupt. After Tiffany allegedly used public funds improperly to create a private police security detail that cost Dolton residents hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, according to a Fox 32 Chicago investigative report, the Village Board of Trustees reached a breaking point in February, voting 4-2 to override Tiffany's veto of their budget for the 2024 to 2022 fiscal year, which included significant cuts. We could fill an entire documentary with the dramatic allegations surrounding Tiffany, but it appears that her time may be running out. Tiffany was furious, arguing that the budget cuts would inevitably force Dolton into bankruptcy. As if that weren't enough, the village was also warned that 13 police department vehicles were at risk of repossession. Tiffany shifted the blame to the trustees, claiming they had refused to approve payments for those vehicles. Karma seems to be catching up, as an official criminal inquiry has been opened by the FBI. Tiffany Henyard is the subject of a formal criminal investigation by federal authorities, and they have serious intentions. Fox 32 reports that the super mayor of Seoul has been served with 2 subpoenas requesting a plethora of financial and business records. Chicago. on August 14, just after a startling revelation indicated that Dalton is drowning in $3.5 million in debt. The township's financial activities are the subject of the second subpoena, which focuses on Tiffany's personal transactions. Mayor Tiffany Henyard appeared to disappear. She has been entirely silent since leaving Dalton Village Hall weeks ago, and even though she has received a ton of requests for interviews, her office is eerily quiet. Even in her absence, there are speculations circulating about her finances due to the town's money being cut off. Village personnel are keeping a low profile by just referring to her as Mia, leaving everyone anxious about when or if she will return. That's all for today's video. Stay tuned to Star Rumors and we'll see you in the next one. Rumor has it that Tiffany is having financial difficulties. Not only is she facing financial ruin, but she has also reportedly been selling her personal belongings and properties just to get by. Her days of living extravagantly, flying on private jets, and having $1 million security team seem to be behind her. By the time she settles her legal fees from her case with the feds, it's likely that she'll be declaring bankruptcy.